This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Ward.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
And tonight we watched Exposed. A police detective investigates the truth behind his partner's death. The mysterious case reveals disturbing police corruption and a dangerous secret involving an unlikely young woman. Let's watch. Queef so hard I faint. Yeah, but all I've been watching with Claude is Succession, and we are still finishing off Blackadder slowly, and you'll be happy to know, Michelle, we've gotten really fucking heavily into Minecraft.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You taught me... you did teach me well, but I forgot all the basics because we literally died 3 separate times just trying to make a crafting table. Like, we died before we could get a crafting table up. So it was pretty bleak.
To be fair, at this point, they've changed the console version enough that a lot of what I taught you would apply less. Like, not in terms of the basics, but how to go through the menus and do stuff. Even I don't know anymore. I haven't played it in a while.
Okay, that makes me feel good because when I was playing it, I was like, why the fuck can't I play this? Like, I've just gone around in circles trying to make a crafting table and I've died 3 separate times. We've had to recreate 3 separate times.
Yeah.
Like, I felt embarrassed. I was like, I thought I could play this, but I have no idea how to find any of this stuff. And I couldn't remember the fucking equipment that you need to make things. Like, I was like, I didn't know that you had to have like 4 oak planks to make a crafting table. And I didn't understand how to get 4 oak planks in the first place. It was just such a fucking debacle. But now we are so on top of it that me and Claude started another new world, and we're dedicated to saving the village that we're nearby. Like, we're dedicating our playthrough to like saving all the villages and protecting them. But that's nice. Like, we're putting in fences, we're putting down torches, we're closing them in at night so that the creepers can't get them. So we're really enjoying that. Like, we're really like thriving, taking care of this village, right? And then today we turned on Minecraft. They were all dead. I don't know what happened in the last playthrough that we missed, but we had spent like many hours making sure they were all safe. And then the last time we played, something must have happened because they were all dead.
Oh no.
So then we had to look into like the process of getting villagers back. And I don't know if you know about this, but you can breed villagers. It's fucked because the way that you do it is that you go to a nearby village, steal the villagers in a boat, paddle them back to your village, and then you put them in a room with a big bed and you leave them there to breed. So you kidnap villagers to breed them in your village.
Minecraft is a weird game, man.
Yeah, it's me and Claude were both horrified and then immediately started to try and make a boat because we were so desperate to get our village back on track.
I mean, look, it's still fun. I don't want to sound like it's not fun anymore because it's not just still fun. It's ostensibly there's more to do. There's more fun. I started playing back in the beta days. So I remember when it was much simpler and I could really wrap my head around it. Now it's like its whole own cottage industry, even on like YouTube and Twitch, of just Minecraft. And there's so many systems that I've lost complete handle on that I just, every time I play, I feel like it's the first time playing again.
I'm glad you say that because when you and I played it ages ago, like in 2016 or something, you showed it to me for the first time. I don't think at that point there were things like being able to steal villages and breed them in a boat. Like, I don't think that was an option because you and I rarely encountered villagers and there wasn't that much detail with how you could interact with the villagers at that time.
There were villagers, but they were a lot simpler, especially on the console version. And I had been playing for like a decade at that point, so I knew how everything worked.
Well, these villagers have jobs and you can lure them by creating a job. So like, it's like if you want to get a villager, instead of kidnapping them, you can also make a job for them and they'll come to you.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. But like, it's not nice because you'd make a job just to trick them into breeding another villager. Like, that's just fucked up,
Do I have to trick them? Do they not do it organically? Or?
You either kidnap them in a boat or you lure them via a job and that's it. So
I can tell the ethics of who made this game. The only way to breed is to trick them into a job or kidnap them. That's terrible.
It's to trick or to kidnap. That's right. Or like, there's another thing where like, if your villagers get turned into zombies, you can unzombify them by splashing potions all over them and then feeding them a golden apple. Like, it's just like you collect these really rare items so that you can turn villagers back into human beings to like repopulate your village. We don't even have zombies. It's just a ghost town. It was so, I can't tell you the grief we experienced this morning turning on Minecraft to find all of our villagers had miraculously disappeared.
You got leftovers. You know The Leftovers, the HBO show?
Never watched it, man.
I didn't watch it either, but I know the premise is that some of them just got raptured or just evaporated, and then it's about the people who were left over.
Oh,
And it's one of those
that's pretty cool.
shows. It was a Lindelof show, and like many Lindelof shows, it started with a sparkling premise and then went kind of like downhill and melodramatic really quickly, but a lot of people really liked the ending of it. I don't want to criticize it because I didn't watch it. I just also didn't watch it because it seemed like it was kind of boring.
That's a show you and Brooke are not watching at the moment.
Yeah. That's your update on what me and my girlfriend aren't watching.
The Leftovers. Fuck it. We're not watching Abby and Claude's Minecraft playthrough. Sounds lame.
No,
Sounds like a shitty ghost town.
I would watch that because that would be shorter than what? Like if it's 10 episodes a season, each is like an hour, like 30 hours for what could probably be a pretty decent 2-hour movie. That sounds like it would be 10 hours of a couple having fun.
Yeah, having lots of fun. And then having our hearts fucking broken at the end of it, completely shattered into smithereens.
I guess what I'm hearing is that this is the launch of you and Claude's Twitch channel of you trying to find the villages. Search for the villages.
Oh my God, the quest for the villages.
Yeah.
We searched far and wide for our little villages. Oh my God, I'm so sad. That'd be a great idea. We'll make this a business.
Yeah,
We'll capitalize on our grief.
I know certainly that next week on the podcast, I genuinely want an update. What's happening with the villages? What's happening
This
in
is
Minecraft?
the thing, Michelle. We've got two options. We just start again and hope that we can save the new village, or we really knuckle down and try and but reignite our village with new villages. But to do that, we have to do some morally questionable things.
Ooh, but that's an interesting tale in and of itself. You are sort of like taking on the role of morally questionable to do good things. And the people you're saving are morally pure themselves. So is it a case of like, do the ends justify the means? Is it that you are doing the noble thing, not just by taking it upon yourself, but making sure that they don't have to? You are the only one who is being harmed by this. So you're making
I'm the person
sacrifice.
Becoming corrupted. Yeah, 100%. It's my
an
tragedy.
Tale, and to tell it through Minecraft is bold.
I'm rowing that fucking villager down the river in my oak boat, just tears streaming down my face because I know what I'm about to do. That's how my show opens. One little miner in a boat crying on the way to a village to kidnap someone. It's
like
called
this.
The Craft. The Craft. Not speaking of anything to do with Exposed, this week we watched Exposed.
It's like a reverse segue.
Yeah.
It's the most ham-fisted one yet.
It's like a negway. This week we watched Exposed, the 2016 film starring Keanu Reeves. 2 in a row, baby. 2 in a row.
I was not expecting the fortnight of Keanu to be this depressing and this upsetting.
Yeah, I don't like the turn his career took in his later life because it's just a lot of really grim, like schlocky action films where he gives fucking nothing.
I'm happy
he gives you nothing.
That now he has like John Wick. He's going to be in the new Matrix movie coming out Boxing Day. He's going to be what he was in Bill and Ted. That's great. That's excellent.
I've never understood Keanu as an action lead because I've never enjoyed him as an action lead. I like him in comedies and romance films, but I don't like him in actions. I don't think he's a very good lead.
I think I do agree that he's a underrated like comedic actor. And there's a reason that he started in comedies and stuff. I think he was perfect in The Matrix, like versus the other choices, specifically because he didn't impart anything on the role. Like he gives a blank canvas intentionally, who looks like he's stuck in depression, which is what a lot of the film feels like because of, as well, a lot of its relationship with being trans as a film allegory. So he works really well in that. I will say his strengths in that are his weaknesses in Siberia and Exposed, where he feels instead like nothing. I think I said to Brooke, because she was there while I was watching this, he is an actor who needs to be harnessed. If he is not harnessed, it looks like he's doing nothing.
Harnessed? What do you mean harnessed?
I think...
Like strapped into like the front of a little baby harness, like you cradle him around in your bosoms as you walk around, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's so cute. And it's a full-size Keanu Reeves strapped to the front of you.
Yeah.
They're like, how old is he? And you're like, he's 1,037 months.
I know Kung Fu. For 1,037 months. That's a lot. That's a lot of months.
Yeah, how old would that translate? Like, how old would that be? 1,037 months in years.
1,037 divided by 12. 86.
Wait, what? Mine was
1,037 divided by 12?
I did 1,037 months divided by 12, and it gave me 7 years. And I was like, what?
Oh my God. Keanu Reeves is 7 years old.
Keanu Reeves is 86, man. Happy birthday, Keanu.
Happy birthday, Keanu. Happy 86th birthday.
Happy 86, Mr. K. The big K.
Mr. K. Happy
Special
birthday.
K. I won't rest until someone photoshops me having a full-size Keanu Reeves strapped to the front of me like a little baby. Make this happen. And someone also needs to draw up Blobby Cops. That just has to happen.
Please,
I want a Blobby Cops fan art.
Send Blobby Cups fan art to our P.O. box at... No, we don't have a P.O. box. Just send it to ratingdescending@gmail.com.
P.O. box, your mom. P.O. box.
What the fuck does that mean?
Nerd.
No, Abby, no. No, I'm done with it. None of this. You're forbidden.
I'm forbidden. Yeah, make it happen, guys.
Make it happen.
Our artistic fans, come on. Get those pencils sharpened. Get those pads flicked open in a performative fashion and start sketching away. We want Blobby Cops, we want Keanu, and we're not going to settle until we get both, baby. And we're going to go straight to the top.
I promise to you, I will not sleep until we get, and then it'll be like, even just because of the time between when we're recording and when we're releasing, like you see in the headlines, Michelle St. Clair local woman dies of exhaustion.
And I promise you, I will not sleep.
Oh, unrelated? Yeah.
Just unrelated.
That's fun.
It's been an ongoing issue for me.
Oh,
but yeah, this film was stupid. This film was like Siberia again, but like at first I thought it was like set in Spain or Europe because the main characters were speaking Spanish. They were like Mexican. They were like a Mexican American like family living in Brooklyn.
Were they meant to be Mexican specifically?
I thought they were Mexican specifically. Okay, but maybe that was just an assumption on my part. But whoa. I don't know where I got that from. My God. I'm sorry, guys. I recant. But they're like a South American family.
South or Central American family in
and they live in Brooklyn. But at first I thought it was set in Europe because I think I was scarred from Siberia and thought Keanu was going to be another American in Europe again. Like I thought it was set in like Barcelona.
I think as well, maybe part of why you thought it is that the whole first act, I mean, a lot of the movie in general, but especially the opening has a real yellow filter over it, which is how American movies communicate that it's either South America or Spain, is by having a big yellow filter. So I think that
100%. Like the whole opening scene is her like in a subway, and it's a New York subway. I realize that now, but when she's going down the tunnel, I was like, this could be like Madrid or Barcelona. I have no idea. It's got this like yellow sunny filter on it, even though it's meant to be eerie. And I feel like all of the really Brooklyn moments were like blue filter as per. Yeah. Like a lot of like the bits about certain characters and like these gangs were all blue filter, but then all of her shots were all yellow and seemed like she was just like in a sunny fucking villa in Madrid. It was so confusing. But man, I was worried it was just going to be another Keanu in Europe affair. Yeah. But it was Keanu in America, and fucking boring, dumb, stupid.
It has the same problem as Siberia in that it feels like someone trying desperately to be really clever and show off how smart they are, but in fact they are not clever, and the script they have written sucks shit. Like it's
sucks ass.
Sucks your ass out, man. This script sucks your ass right out.
Sucking shit is definitely like at the top hierarchy of sucking things. Like if someone said like my script sucked ass, I'd be like, fuck, yeah, true. But if someone was like your script sucked shit, I'd be like,
fuck, that's
I'm hanging
brutal.
up my fucking shoes. That's awful. Sucking dick, lower. Like it's like the hierarchy is probably
that's
like
good. That can be
dick.
a fun bonding activity. That's
sucking
enjoyable.
Dick, sucking ass, yeah. But sucking shit, Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going straight into scat. Wow.
There's no positive experience associated with sucking shit.
Well, please don't kink shame.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The scat community could be listening, as we very well speak.
Okay. Suck shit, non-kink.
Suck shit in a safe for work way.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Well,
Suck shit, non-sexual.
suck shit, safe for work.
We'll get this. We'll get this. We got to keep workshopping.
But yeah, this sucks shit.
Yeah, it did.
To go back to it.
And it's dumb. It hates it. I'm going to come back to this because I want to come back to it after we do the overview. But like, it does my least favorite thing in a mystery, which is the mystery is predicated on straight up lying to the audience. And then also doesn't make sense. It's bad and it's dumb. You're not smarter than me because you lied to me. That's just lying to me. That's not the same thing as being clever. Fuck you, man.
I love that you think that the film is trying to be smarter than you rather than just tell you a story, though.
I think it's trying, though.
Intellectually challenging you. I don't think they're trying to be smarter than you. I think they're just trying to like entice you and intrigue you.
I think like a good twisty thriller is trying to invite you in, right? Because you're experiencing with it and you go, oh, that's so clever, but I'm with it and I understand it. A bad twisty thriller is trying to specifically outsmart you so that you are surprised and make you feel like, man, the person who made that is really smart. It's like a bad puzzle where I'm just left with going like, I guess you're smart. But it isn't. It clearly wants to outsmart me, and it did not. It is just lying.
I know what you're saying. I think that sometimes the intention is more like they want to be able to shock and surprise you rather than outsmart you.
Yeah.
But I think that people constantly underestimate how smart audiences are.
Yeah.
Like, people understand formula subconsciously, so they can see things coming a mile off. Like, Claude has no training in film whatsoever. He's just watched a lot of films. So when we're watching something together, he's like, oh, that character's going to do so-and-so. And he, even with good storytelling, he can figure out what threads are getting very slowly woven in front of him.
That's not a bad
you don't have to be a genius at all. Like, it's not a bad thing, but I do think that screenwriters underestimate how quickly people are able to do that. And in turn, I think that it's really hard to pull off a good twist.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pull off a good shock. And there's only been a couple really well done, which is why people remember things like The Usual Suspects, because that twist is something that you don't really see coming, at least for me. I was genuinely shocked by it because they did so many things to derail you from potentially seeing it as a possibility.
I remember like not quite seeing that. Like, The Usual Suspects is a great example because like some twists are like, well, really it's a twist to the characters, but we are with it. Like, we know it's coming and that's fun. Or there's ones that blindside you. Usual Suspect hits a really great middle ground where it's like, I didn't see that specifically coming, but I knew that there was more than what was being communicated by the characters. And so it ends up being a really satisfying feeling because then you can go back and go like, it all makes sense with what I was communicated.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And that's the thing, like, the classic kind of twist is obviously giving you an answer and then finding out immediately afterwards that the answer was false. Like, in The Usual Suspects, he really winds the story to make you think that you figured it out. Like, he really makes you feel like, oh my God, it was Gabriel Byrne's character the whole time. It was our hero. What a huge twist. You think that the minor twist is the major twist. And you're like, whoa, that was pretty cool. And then they pull the rug out from under you and they're like, actually, it's this, and it was under your nose the entire time, and everything still checks out, and you're like, whoa.
That's really fun.
It's a good twist is one that makes you think that it's already been answered, and then all of a sudden it's reversed. That's like the classic, but it's hard to pull that off, and there's not very many good writers. There just aren't. People find it hard to invent storytelling like that.
Yeah, and I will just say to anyone listening, if you're writing a thing, I'm not going to say don't do a twist. I'm going to say, is your twist predicated on just lying to the audience prior to this point? Because if so, that sucks. Don't just lie to me. That's terrible. That's just bad writing.
First, you think they're trying to outsmart you, and then you're like, they're lying to me, man.
Well, yeah, because the whole thing in this, we see the beginning. It's not we see part of it, and then it's revealed there's more. It's that we see it one way, and we find out in the third act, actually, that didn't happen. This happened. And I'm like, that sucks, man. That's stupid.
It does. I mean, there's so many things that do genuine. I can't disagree with you there. It sucks. Like the depictions of like fantasy and magical. So wait, let's get into the overview so we can actually talk about that properly. So this film was made in 2016. It has 4.3 stars on IMDb, and it was directed and written by Guy Malik Linton, who I looked it up. This is like the only film he's ever gotten to direct and write. And prior to this, he was like a body double or like a training. He worked as a physical trainer on various films. He worked for Tobey Maguire on Spider-Man, Leonardo DiCaprio for The Departed, and Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises. Like that was his profession.
That's like how, what was it? Set Up was directed by a stunt guy. Like, this is not your forte.
Yeah, you're not allowed to move into a different field if you don't have training in it just because you've worked on films. It shouldn't work that way. I just have a feeling these guys are like, oh, well, you worked in a crew, so surely you can write and direct an entire feature by yourself. Fucking annoying.
I know how to edit, thus I will also be good at being in the lighting department. No! Yeah.
Here's my overview. And it's not very good. Detective Galbin finds his partner and close friend Detective Cullen murdered in a subway station. On the hunt for the killer, Galbin begins to suspect his partner may have been heavily involved in drug dealing and police corruption. And as he investigates, people who knew Cullen are conveniently found dead. The closer he gets to the truth, the more Cullen's wife and his lieutenant try to persuade him to back off. Galbin's only lead is Isabel, a young devout girl who lives with her in-laws, who was at the subway station the night Cullen died. Galbin fears her life could be in jeopardy should he get too close to her. However, Isabel is experiencing visions of mystical creatures and finds herself miraculously pregnant. When she continually helps a little girl called Elisa, who is getting abused by her father, a rush of memories flood back to Isabel. She realizes that she was raped by Cullen at the subway station and killed him in a frenzied attack. She goes on to kill her own father, who abused her as a child, only then to realize that Elisa was her child self all along. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
I found this a really tough overview because there's two threads. You've got Isabel in this I liked her side of the story in this weird way because I thought the actress was quite nice. I thought the character was quite sweet. She seemed like a good person. So I enjoyed watching her.
Is great.
Yeah. So I liked her storyline. And then you've got fucking Keanu Reeves, this like disgruntled cop trying to figure out this case to do with his partner. And they both intercede, like they constantly like intertwine with one another because she was at the subway station that night.
Yeah.
These two threads is a very particular reason why there's like two very different threads in this film. But they just like merge terribly. And when I was doing the overview, I was like, how can I make this sound normal? Because as you say, half of the film is like a lie. Like half of the film is... a misdirection. So you can't start by being like, I mean, you can, but like the first scene is her just seeing a guy floating over train tracks at the subway station. But that's because she just got raped and she's trying to cover up her trauma with fake memories and fake imaginations. Yeah. And then it goes from there. It's just a bizarre film.
Like, her whole storyline is dealing with like her family and then seeing this little girl and also these like what are like almost spooky angels. I kind of liked the vision of them in general. I thought that was interesting. And then it's actually that they were never there. So nothing happened to her. And then Keanu Reeves' storyline is, I think it's this guy and it isn't. And he doesn't, and that's it. And he doesn't solve it. And then it ends.
And he gives you, again, just absolutely fucking zero as a performance. He gives you nothing. It's just, The Keanu Reeves storyline of him being a detective trying to figure out is the blue filter storyline, and then there's hers in this glowing yellow storyline. And don't get me wrong, the images and fantasy people that she sees kind of did spook me. Like I liked the aesthetic of them. I was like, cool makeup. Like they were very ghostly and white with like these like Jacobean ruffs and like archaic clothes. And that first guy at the train station walking over the platform, really genuinely, he was scaring me. I was like, he had such a creepy angular face and I couldn't understand where this was going. So I liked that. But then to find out that it's all because she got horrifically raped at a subway station and it's all like trauma she's trying to repress, I was just like, this just got so much more heavy than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was really upsetting. It also, at no point in the movie signposted that it was going to go that direction. So, like, when watching it, I was like, oh my God, what the?
Yeah. I'm really grateful because you sent me a message being like, oh, hey, there's a rape scene, like, between these minutes. And I was like, I'm so glad you sent that to me because I really appreciated knowing that it was coming, because if I didn't know it was coming, I don't want that to be sprung on me, man. I get uneasy. I have to skip the scene. We've talked about my disdain for rape scenes, and just having it launched upon you, you're just like, it really just throws you out. So I was really grateful to be like, all right, we're getting up to the time Michelle mentioned. I'm just going to skip ahead because I don't need to watch this woman getting raped. I just don't.
Yeah. Like, honestly, it's so unnecessary, especially because it's meant to just be a thing of, oh man, wasn't he a shitty guy? And it's a twist reveal that, again, the thing I've been watching just didn't happen and it wasn't real. Like, that's so ridiculous.
I understand that it can pull people in and like intrigue people to have this like strange mystical people around and all these things that don't make sense. And hey, going through IMDb reviews, a lot of people really dug the intrigue. They were like, I had to watch it till the end to find out what it meant. People really liked that, but it wasn't like worth the reveal. You're like, great, the reveal is that she got horrifically traumatized and everything was a dream.
Yeah.
Great.
It literally did it was all in her head. I can't believe that actually happened on this fucking list.
It was all a dream.
Like, it would have been really interesting though if it was like an angel or a spirit, you know, like, oh, it's a spirit that is shown, and you know, like if you look it up, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is based off of a spirit that is shown to women who've gone through whatever or something, right? And then you're like, oh, okay, that's really interesting, because then it's signaling to me that something happened that we didn't see, and it's not like nothing.
But this was nothing. It was just ghostly white people. Like, it almost looked like that guy got on the platform and she was almost spooked because he looked like he was just an albino.
Yeah.
Like, I half expected him to be like, I know.
Yeah.
I'm very blonde. Like, something like that, because he's just a starkly strange man.
I get it. We're always cast as spooky people, but I'm smiling.
I'm not on the pre-approved spookums list, so I'm good to go. Yeah,
there's a reason I didn't on that list put an albino guy. That is not a spookum.
2016. Yeah, it was just it was just not the reveal that you wanted. But like the whole storyline of Elisa was her the whole time. Like, you could smell it coming a mile off. At least I could. I was like, oh boy. She's already having these like fantasies. It's already vaguely alluding to like childhood trauma a lot of the time and being abused by men as a child. I was like, I bet it's her childhood self, man. And then sure enough, she kills her own father who abused her as a child. And then Elisa disappears. She's gone.
Yeah. Like, it's like the last shot. She's sitting at a church praying next to Elisa, and then Elisa just like fades out, and then she smiles, and then it's the end. And I'm like, oh.
The ending is bizarre though, because the ending is she has all these memories about what happened to her as a kid and the fact that she got raped at the subway station. And then she ends up killing her own father. And then the police come and she and Keanu Reeves finally meet. Like, they finally cross paths. And that's the end. Like, it's just, that's it. She's going to go to prison.
Looks at her and just kind of goes, and then looks at a photo, and that's the reveal that Elisa's not there because she's not in the photo. And then she's in a church, and then I'm like, oh, okay, sure. He didn't solve it and nothing happened. Great.
Such a stupid ending. And again, let's really just linger a bit on Keanu's performance, because as you say, he gave us just so little. It was just him being mopey again and being really quiet and be like, oh, my wife died. I can't do this.
One of my favorite things, though, to like as an indicator of what I mean when I say he needs to be harnessed, they are doing him dirty. There's one line, I wrote it down. He's talking to his police captain, who's played by Chris McDonald in his third time on the list. And I know the police captain says to him, he's not killing a cop. And then Keanu sits there. There's just a whole beat. And then you hear from the chair, huh, okay. And why'd they put in the chair squeak so prominently?
What do you know about Keanu as a person? Is he like a good dude?
I know that he's famously very, very shy and doesn't really like... a lot of... Not just like oh, he doesn't like being in public that much, like Gary Oldman. And then sometimes Gary Oldman kind of proves why.
Sorry, I just looked up Keanu Reeves' personality and it autocorrected to personality type, and then it was like, he's an ENFP, and I was like, how did you know that? Like, how do you know he's an ENFP? That's ridiculous.
Apparently, like, other people who've worked with him and stuff call him famously shy, and he doesn't really like to engage much. But he, for a long time, was also notable for like just living in his apartment, and he'll do things like really consider the crew in films. So he sounds like he's a good guy.
Yeah, I have only heard nice things. I'm just worried that like something has come out in the last year or two that I didn't hear, and everyone's like, he's fucking cancelled. Like, you got to stay up to date with these things. If Keanu got cancelled though, that'd be pretty fucking rough.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like his approach. He seems like someone who like likes acting and doesn't necessarily like understands the position he's in as a celebrity.
I'm looking at an article called 13 times Keanu Reeves was the greatest person ever, and one of them is, Reeves once gave his seat up on a crowded New York City subway to a woman with a large bag. I'm like, that's just common politeness. Yeah. That's just nice.
A lot of the meme of him being a fantastic person is him doing just normal people things, because we hold celebrities to the standard where they don't need to be a good person anymore. But he seems to not do that. But there's also other things that I've heard where it's like, oh yeah, he sounds like a good guy, or a cool guy at least.
I remember hearing that him and Sandra Bullock both had a crush on each other during Speed, but they never acted on it. Yeah. Can you imagine being an actor and years later you're like, fuck, that other A-list celebrity had a crush on me, an A-list celebrity? Fuck.
We could have had the hottest babies.
Honestly, I would 100% love to see Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves like be a couple. Then they went on to The Lake House together in 2004 or 5. My mom fucking loves that like rom-com, and it's shit. It's terrible. And actually, fuck, man, I take it back. I said I hated Keanu Reeves in action films. I loved him in Speed.
He's so good in Speed. But it's just because he didn't
have to have a character in Speed. It was just like, I'm Jack. I'm on a bus and I need you all to stay calm. And I'm like, I'm here for it. You don't need a personality.
That's what I'm saying. That's the same thing with Neo, right? Where he's into a blank canvas for you to experience the Matrix through. In Speed, he is a blank canvas who is like the job. Whereas in this is a role that you need to really be doing something. And he's not, and they're really playing him dirty with fucking chair squeaks.
No, I get what you mean. And like, when I think about The Lake House, for instance, the fucking rom-com with him and Sandra Bullock, he's still just as vapid, but he gets to be vapid because it seems like he's being pensive and thoughtful. He's just kind of like, yeah, I love the autumn sometimes. The leaves blow in the wind. I'd like to take you there sometime, Annie. And she's like, that sounds nice. Like, that's just, he can deliver it really flatly, but you think it's just him sounding thoughtful and pensive. It's great.
I'm not that much of a fan of Coppola's Dracula, but Keanu Reeves is put to movie. But Keanu Reeves is put to good use in that movie for the same reason, where he's like, oh wow, I'm in Transylvania.
Awesome.
Wow.
This is radical. I would watch Bill and Ted's if it was Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder for sure.
Oh hell yeah.
But in their Dracula roles.
Hadn't you not seen Bill and Ted's until I showed you last year? Or did we both show it to Brooke?
I hadn't seen it until last year.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm so glad I got to show it to you.
I think I watched it when I was a kid, but like I'd forgotten it. I can't really count that. Like I think my brother showed it to me, but I could barely remember it. I had a good time.
I'd already seen it, but I had mostly seen the sequel because it was on TV more, of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where they go to hell with the devil from Seventh Seal and they become friends with him.
Yeah, but I hear the Bogus Journey one is really shit.
Oh, well, I don't know. I enjoyed it when I was 8, so fuck them.
I'm sorry, Michelle. I just don't trust your 8-year-old sensibilities, your taste.
Wow. Well, my 8-year-old sensibilities are probably better than my 15-year-old sensibilities, so I don't know.
How did you devolve over 7 years, man?
Being surrounded by people whose opinion I really wanted them to being around people where I wanted them to like me more than I wanted to engage the part of my brain that thought.
Fair enough.
As opposed to when I was 8, where there was no one around me, so I didn't have to do that.
Nice.
You can't be peer pressured if you haven't got any peers. That's my lesson to you kids out there.
Also, this isn't trivia. Do you want to take a guess at the budget, by the way? I forgot to mention.
Oh my god. Well, Siberia.
And like the budget and the box. Okay, wait, no. I'll give you the budget, and if you can guess the box office, right?
Okay.
Budget $6 million for Exposed.
That's more reasonable than I was hoping.
It's pretty reasonable because it's got like fucking Keanu Reeves in it. But I also don't really know what they could ever spend that money on because there wasn't. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What do you reckon the box office would be?
I can't imagine this did very well, but it has Keanu for 3 million.
Lower.
2?
Lower.
Was it less than 1?
Lower.
Oh my God. How much? What was it? Less than 1 million for an American movie with Keanu Reeves in it?
Less than $500,000 even.
No. Even Siberia, which also had less than $1 million, that was 600 grand. Less than $500,000? What was it? 400 grand? What was it?
It was 260,000.
No. Oh my God.
$250,000, man. That's just brutal.
Imagine going, we have Keanu Reeves, Mira Sorvino, and Ana de Armas, who at least at this point was notable in Spanish-speaking roles, even if this was pre-Knives Out. Like, imagine having them and still making, is it 200,000?
260.
260. Yeah. Fucking hell, man.
Also, you mentioned Mira Sorvino.
Yeah.
I always felt like she gave bad energy. Like, I always get bad vibes off of her. I think I heard the story that she was, like, really difficult to work with from someone that genuinely worked with her.
Oh, okay. Okay, hey, if it's...
No, I know she got blacklisted because of the whole thing where she refused Harvey Weinstein. No, I mean, like, genuinely someone knew her personally and they were like, she's a fucking nightmare. But,
to me, she was easily the best in this. She was the only one who, I guess, apart from Ana de Armas and the Spanish-speaking people, she was the only English-speaking character who felt like they were actually in New York.
Yeah, exactly. Everything felt so not New York. It was bizarre. But I couldn't get past it. Maybe I honestly think she has bad energy because her character in this reminded me of Jan from The Office. Like, I half expected her to be like, Michael, come to the car. Come to the car. And then just some cutaway shot of her like pashing Michael and from the distance and Dwight watching. Like,
there's definitely felt like
Jan energy.
Later season Jan energy where she goes off the deep end a little bit.
Season 4 Jan energy when she's making candles, for sure. She probably was the best, but I didn't like her performance in this at all. Like, I didn't like anyone's performance in this, really. I will say, like, we talk about the one positive I can pull out of this film is that the issues it was trying to deal with were quite sensitive. And quite, like, I think there was an attempt into a proper insight into how people cope with trauma. Like,
was there?
The execution was stupid, but there was indeed an attempt, and I'd love to tell you about it in the trivia shortly. Okay. But there was, like, I think, like, a positive intent here to communicate how people can emotionally cope with something really heavily traumatic happening to them. It had, like, a lot of things about, like, childhood abuse and rape and being from this very particular like ethnic background as well, which I enjoyed watching. I was like, I actually liked some of the scenes with her and her like family, like her partner's family. I was like, this is nice. It's a nice insight into like this, again, I say Mexican American, could have been fucking any part of South America, family in New York. I was like, this is kind of nice. There's a couple of things I like about watching these scenes, but everything with Keanu and every poignant moment was just badly done. Yeah,
I agree that her scenes were better done and had more potential, but I think I was so distracted by how nonsensical Keanu's storyline was. What was the deal with the character who was just named Black? And that really threw me for a loop for a little bit.
I couldn't tell you.
He seems like...
I didn't understand the Black storyline.
He's a character who is like presenting as like he knows more than he's letting on, but you never really get an idea of what he knows or what he's trying to achieve. And then
that storyline is so superfluous to the main plot and it doesn't pay off.
It doesn't. The payoff is a scene where he and Rocky, who is Ana de Armas' character's partner's brother, right?
Yeah. That's right, her brother-in-law.
They like face off because they were both the main suspects in the killing of the cop, and then Black just got away with it, so he's gonna shoot Rocky for some reason. And then they're doing like a fucking, he's standing there and he's giving a speech and like, oh, you're going to get blood on my shoes. And I'm like, this is also mad film school energy. Like crazy.
Yeah.
The person who wrote this thinks they're so fucking edgy and dark and like everyone in their life is actually a lot more interesting and having a harder time in their lives than this person is. It was really bad, but then he just gets killed and then that's it. I don't understand it.
One of my personal favorite moments was that character Rocky getting a dog, and then his girlfriend's walking the dog on the sidewalk, and the dog breaks off the leash and runs in front of a truck and is killed, and they're all weeping over this dog. The direction in the scene is bananas, like so bad. Like I can't even describe how awfully directed that scene is. But then they interlace that with the main character's Isabella's partner getting killed in action and not coming home from the war, and she's like crying in the doorway, and it's like, are you trying to mirror these two events where Rocky's dog dies but then her partner is killed in action? Like it was just, they were like, this is a really dark midpoint, guys, her partner's killed, and you're like, what? It was just ridiculous. But I honestly did like that she got pregnant, because that was the moment where I started thinking something is really up, because she's having this miracle phantom baby, and like she's genuinely forgetting something, and I was like, something's gonna be fucked up in this storyline.
But then it just wasn't. It just didn't happen.
It just didn't happen.
I wanted to address like the subtitles. I found it really hard to get subtitles for this movie, because there was the ones that were like embedded in it, which were weirdly too big, but a lot of the subtitles as well would either just not be subtitles for the Spanish parts, or they would just say speaks Spanish. I fucking hate that.
The subtitles on Stan, pretty good.
I just get mad about the way we subtitle some things. Like I said, it just subtitle speaks Spanish. Not only is that particularly egregious in this movie, where like a lot of characters are speaking Spanish for long periods of time, I hate that, because it's weirdly like dehumanizing. And also sometimes when characters are speaking in another language, like if you speak a little Spanish, you might know what it says. And like people who are either deaf or not able to hear it, like, still translate it just into the Spanish if it's not English and you don't want to translate it. Like, what the fuck is this?
My question is like, didn't it have the English embedded into the film for the Spanish speaking moments?
It did on this, but I've also seen plenty of films where it just will translate other people speaking a different language as speak Spanish, or, and I hate this, it just won't subtitle it. Like, and they'll do it in moments where it'll be like, people are speaking English at a party. We're watching fucking Indiana Jones with my girlfriend, and we always put on subtitles because, you know, with like the way her ADHD manifests, it can be like hard to pay attention to all the sounds, and subtitles helps. I had subtitles a lot as a kid for my sister for a similar reason. But then it would be like subtitling, Mr. Jones, Auf Wiedersehen, and then when it's saying Auf Wiedersehen, there'd just be no subtitle. It's like, I know what that says in English. I know what that is. You put it in the fucking subtitles. Why are deaf people meant to just pretend that no one moved their lips? If they can't read the lips, then that means they just know that they didn't get to experience a bit of the dialogue.
So there was no English subtitle saying the translation of Auf Wiedersehen in the film embedded on top of it.
There was no English translation, nor was there it in German, nor was there speaks German. Yeah. It just pretended that it didn't happen.
I have to say, one of the worst examples of this, and this is pretty serious, guys, is in Lord of the Rings, where the copy I had as a kid wouldn't translate the Elvish bits, and then I was just lost every time Aragorn and Arwen were making out. I was like, what? Why are they in love again? And again, so that was pretty rough.
That experience you're describing happens a lot to people who are deaf or hard of hearing or need subtitles because of how we don't subtitle things properly. I get mad about accessibility.
Nice. Do you want to hear some trivia?
I would love to.
IMDb trivia!
This is what I mean by it had some positive intent, because this story got really fucked around by some producers.
Okay.
The original story was a surreal bilingual drama reminiscent of Pan's Labyrinth and Irreversible that focused on child abuse, violence towards women, mass incarceration, and police violence committed under the color of authority.
Oh, okay.
And I see that because all of these themes are still present in the film. Like mass incarceration, Rocky has just gotten out of prison and they keep talking about his like time in jail, and there's like still elements of that there. However, the movie was sold to Lionsgate Premiere, which thought it had been sold a Keanu Reeves cop thriller.
Right.
During the editing process, Lionsgate Premiere changed the story's focus to center on Reeves's character and changed the movie into a generic crime thriller. Guy Malik Linton wrote and directed the film, but since Lionsgate Premiere and the producers edited the film without his approval, the Directors Guild of America allowed him to take his name off the credits. He is still listed as a writer, but his directing credit is listed as Declan Dale.
Right. Okay. That makes more sense. It also explains to me one of the central problems with it is that Reeves is not like an edgy anti-hero. He's just unsympathetic. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a complete villain.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. And there's a reason he comes off as vapid. It's because he was a fucking, here's another piece of information. This is my second piece of trivia for you while we're on the topic. The role Keanu Reeves plays was originally intended to be a supporting one. However, they decided to make the film focus more on him, and they cut the female lead's scenes.
Wow.
So it was meant to be more her perspective, but he was just this side character, and they were like, let's balance it. Let's make it more about him as well. So it's like this weird 50-50 of like seeing both their perspectives in this story, but it was meant to just be her perspective, and he was really a side character.
Yeah.
Really.
Which he is a side character, you know? Like, he's the one who's trying to find the killer of a guy who's a serial rapist. Like, he's not, I don't side with him.
It's just tragic, man. It's just really sad. Like, I feel like this guy did genuinely want to make something quite like poignant.
It
and
makes
then it
more
got
sense.
completely taken away from him.
As you said, like, there are those themes. It just doesn't feel like it has anything to say. There's like, they bring up mass incarceration, but that rubs wrong when one of the main characters is a cop. You're like, it feels strange, that doesn't work. And so it like undermines a lot of the themes and the way it's recreated. Okay, now I feel bad for this movie. I take back what I said about the director-writer.
I do think that like even if he had gotten his way, it could have ended up being a bit of a shit film anyway. Like it still could have been bad. It doesn't seem like he had a lot of experience, and there's a lot of really poor direction. Yeah. But I feel like we stumble across this a lot, where it's either some megalomaniac that was given too much money and wasn't harnessed, like wasn't brought in enough and like and put on a leash enough, and then you've got the guy that has a great idea and then is completely monopolized by the production house to change everything. Like, we always have these two severe sides that we're always like experiencing in this podcast, and this happens to just sadly be the one where the producers intervened and made it worse.
That's sad.
Here's my last piece of trivia, and I just thought it was really funny. There are 32 people credited as producers.
That beats,
Lionsgate, what is going on?
That beats what I thought was the record for setup, where I think it's 20 people. Also, I think Lionsgate. What the fuck is going on there? Did they just credit everyone who works at Lionsgate? What the fuck is happening?
With Lionsgate? I was trying to just like briefly look into Lionsgate just to like understand like the fucking history of it.
They're one of the mini majors, right?
I don't know. Okay. All I know, I really wanted to see like who started it and where, and I realized that when we were in Vancouver, there was the Lionsgate Bridge, and I was like, it has to have been started in Vancouver, and it was. They were like two Vancouver locals. But yeah, it just seems like it was formed in 1997 with a $16 million investment.
Ah, a classic small business.
Yeah, a burgeoning, up and coming,
but a humble 16 million, perhaps.
There's a whole Wikipedia page that's just Lionsgate Films.
I mean, that makes sense. They make a lot of films.
They're
one of the mini majors.
Hey, they did John Wick. They love Keanu, man.
They did?
They're all about it.
Maybe that's why they thought it was a Keanu cop thriller. They were like, we got this one. Let's get that one.
Sir, not everything can be Keanu. Get Keanu. We need him on standby. They actually keep Keanu in a closet at Lionsgate headquarters. That's where he lives. Oh, wow. Guess what Lionsgate's first major box office success was?
What?
It was American Psycho.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. That was like their first major success. But then they had also done things like Dogma.
Oh, yeah.
Cube 2. Saw.
Why would it not be
Fahrenheit
cube squared
9/11.
or cube cubed?
Yeah, that's a good... Well, this is a Cube 2 hypercube. Did you watch the first Cube?
No.
We had to watch it in high school, and it's the weirdest film.
Okay.
It's really distinctive, and I would actually suggest watching it. Like, it's got a cult following, but it's like about these like 6 people or something stuck in this labyrinth of cubes, and they're all different colors, and they're all just trying to get out. And it's about them all just deteriorating from the insanity of the situation. It's really creepy.
Me when I'm in a house or a hotel, I guess. You know, you could say The Shining has the same premise. Also, any listeners, tell me if Dogma holds up, because I loved that movie when I was younger, and my mum loves that movie, and I watched it one time when I was like 22, and I was like, why did I love this movie? This sucks, but maybe I just need to rewatch it.
That's when you showed it to me, and I was like, why do you love this movie? This sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe it was Abby that said that. Hey, listeners, prove Abby wrong.
I hated it. I really don't think Kevin Smith had anything further to offer after Clerks.
Are you going to hate next week?
Shit, dude. What are we watching?
Well, that's not, we're not there yet.
All right. Do you want to hear some reviews?
I would love to.
Reviews!
So this film holds an approval rating of 8% on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. 8% is bad.
8% is grim.
That's dire. Here is a review left by Peter Bradshaw from The Guardian. What a strange and frustrating mess.
Yeah. Every time we read one of the professional reviews, I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been saying for an hour. You're right.
This is a review left by Kate Muir of The Times UK. Reeves appears to only have 2 expressions, sad face and need to pee face.
Yeah.
And this one was left by Mark Commode from The Observer UK. Incomprehensibly disjointed and stunningly dull.
Yeah.
They're all very to the point.
Yeah. Although, you know, all of them probably also had a long thing. I mean, like, Mark Commode has his own podcast, and so he probably was talking for like 40 minutes on it, and we just picked one quote.
Oh, we should ask him on. Ask him to the potty.
Yeah, he'll come on this one, yeah.
Yeah, why not? And this one was left by, this is an IMDb review, 10 out of 10, left by Maria Barakova, and the title of it is just, Look at Him. That's what she says when she sees Keanu strapped to the front of me in a little baby harness. It's like, oh,
look at him.
A sad, tiring, and deep story. Most of the time, the movie was confusing and with a slow plot development, but the finale was well worth it. I liked it as much as it upset me. 10 out of 10.
Hey.
And then this one is short and sweet. It was left by Quick and Smart. It's 10 out of 10, and it's called Genius. This is the review. You have to be a genius to understand once the film ends.
Oh, my God.
10 out of 10.
Oh, my God. Boo. Genius to understand. It just lied, and it explained it. There's nothing to get.
Genius. You have to be a genius to understand. 10 out of 10. So dumb.
Fuck that.
Michelle, what would you rate Exposed?
I really didn't enjoy it. I think it, in a lot of ways, felt like someone describing a dream that they've already forgotten, where, you know, you're going like, oh, and then I was on that one street, and I think I saw something, and they were kind of like white, but anyway, so I was walking to my mum's house, and she got really mad at me. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention the bit where the cop was actually walking over, and like, it doesn't feel like anything's happening, even though there's a lot going on. So I really didn't enjoy it. I'm gonna give it 0.5 for the potential of having the like spooky spirits that had a cool design, but then I'm also gonna knock off 0.5 for making them literally nothing. I'm just gonna give it a 2.3. I think maybe it was better than Siberia. Potentially, but also I hated it.
I think it was better than Siberia, I think. And I think we both agreed on like 2.2 for Siberia or 2.
Yeah,
2.
I think so.
But I agree. I think it was slightly better. I think it was honestly because there were some scenes that saved it that were like quite sweet. And I liked the main character a bit. Like I was like, Isabel's nice. And it was, I think you feel protective of her because she's this very sweet young woman that is in a subway alone in the first scene, and you're like, I have to make sure she's okay. So that's smart. I like Isabel. But that...
My God.
For that...
She's a young woman dealing with
like
trauma.
Yeah, we need to protect her. She's in a subway. It's beautiful. I am going to give this a 2 point. Oh, you know what? You know what? Again, this is my bar, right? This is my bar. I wanted to keep watching it because I genuinely did want to understand what the hook was, because obviously something was coming.
Yeah.
And that has more to be said for it than a lot of films that we watch in this list where you're anticipating a reveal.
Yeah.
So that kind of kept me interested, which gets it a huge bonus mark on my end because it's so hard to be engaged in these films. So the fact that I was like, oh, I do want to know what the fucking point of this is, was great. And like, again, Sex and the City 2 is my benchmark, which made me want to physically strangle myself until I could no longer breathe. And this film didn't make me feel like that at all. It was an hour and a half long, and there was something that I wanted to find out by the end. So for that, it goes up, baby. It's getting a fucking 2.8 out of 10.
Nice. 2.8's not bad.
Well, Michelle, that was Exposed. Don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on TikTok at Rating Descending, or you can find us on Twitter at RateDescendPod, or you can email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com.
You can also find us on our own social medias. I am on Twitter and Instagram at Michelle.St.
And I'm on Instagram under Abigail J. Ward.
You could also leave us an Apple Podcasts review if you were a super cool, hip, fly person. Even if you don't use Apple Podcasts, just like leave a cheeky little review because it really helps.
Well, that was Exposed. What are we watching next week, Michelle?
Next week, we are watching the Kevin Smith horror comedy Yoga Hoses.
Fuck. I haven't heard of that one.
Me neither until now. But then I also saw it when I was trying to look for bad Halloween movies. So, hey, it'll be another spooky movie to watch.
Spooky movie.
And it's your favorite post-Clerks era Kevin Smith.
No, I can't believe I just happened to say that this episode. Oh my god, the stars aligned just to fuck me in the ass, just to say suck shit.
Yeah.
Which is the most offensive one.
The stars love sucking shit out of Kevin Smith's ass.
Oh man, sorry, I just found the poster for Yoga Hoses and I'm deeply concerned.
It looks bad. It looks genuinely really badly made.
Yeah, listeners, you're not gonna believe this, but this doesn't look good.
Yeah, a movie on this list, bad? Who would have thunk it?
Crazy. That'd be nuts.
But it'll also be next week.